So rheumatoid arthritis, as we all know, that systemic disorder characterized by chronic inflammatory polyarthritis of unknown etiology. Involves most of the organs of the body and fluctuating clinical course and unpredictable prognosis. And if you look at the pathway that has been discussed, the main culprit are the macrophage which secrete the IL-1 and the TNF-alpha markers, which cause activate the sinusoids and chondrocytes, cause bony erosions and damages. So, inflammatory markers, and these are the things we need to prohibit. So, we have various kind of therapies which have been used earlier, but all of them have their side effects. You need a novel molecule which will be devoid of gastric effects and everything. So, osteoarthritis also have been the markers which cause this inflammation. So, TNF-alpha and IL-1 are the major inflammatory cytokines involved in rheumatoid as well as osteoarthritis, and both of them go and release inflammatory cytokines by nuclear factor kappa B, which is the main culprit here. And NF-kappa B is a transcription factor and plays an essential role in immune response. So, it is a master switch, NF-kappa B, which controls the inflammation. If we could somehow switch off this master switch, we could control the damage done by the rheumatoid arthritis, the osteoarthritis, and all the therapies are basically here to control the master switch. So we all know the disorders, and so various kind of NF-kB activation have already been discussed by Dr. Rawat sir, and I will not go again in the details, where the TNF-alpha and IL-1 activate the NF-kappa B and cause transcription of the inflammatory genes, and these cause the damages to the synovium, the chondrocytes and the bone. Now these enzymes COX-2 and inducible nitric oxide synthase is the enzyme COX-2 inhibitors that we commonly use, but the NSAIDs are non-specific. They inhibit COX-1 and COX-2 and cause the side effects that we see. So where side effects for NSAID not suitable for elderly patients, GI bleeding, hepatotoxicity, renotoxicity. Steroids, on the other hand, we have a lot of side effects: gastritis, ulceration, diabetes, hypertension. So, which drug to opt for? Biologicals, anti-TNF-alpha, IL-1 blocker, but they are very costly, and DMARDs, methotrexate, hydroxychloroquine, and leflunomide are the common therapies that we use today. The need of the hour is an innovative option, and which doesn't have these side effects. So curcumin, as we discussed, is basically derivative from the common plant Curcumis longa, or the haldi plant, which we have been using for a long time. And it is supposed to be the new wonder drug, like the vitamin D, and it has anti-angiogenic effect, anti-hyperlipidemic effect, anti-inflammatory effect, anti-apoptotic effect. Has been given for reducing lipids, has been given for reducing the effect of methotrexate in cancer therapy, and also as along with other drugs to mitigate their effects. So curcumin inhibits the NF-kappa B inhibitor directly and prevents the switch off the master switch of inflammation. So inhibits the same pathway. Now, what about the evidence? We all know that haldi, which is called bevar in Nepali, has been our food constituent since centuries. And what is the new about curcumin? So the problem with the haldi is that we have a diet of 1000 milligram to 1000 milligram of the rhizome powder, in which curcumin is only 50 milligram to 100 milligram. But for it to affect a therapeutic role, we need at least 1000 milligram of curcumin, or 500 milligram of curcumin, which cannot be directly taken by eating the powder. Secondly, it is unstable. So, and as it goes into the GIT and other thing, the environment there is not suitable for absorption. So, the need for curcumin compound. Various studies have shown that CRP levels go down with the curcumin therapy, either 5 milligram per day or 1000 milligram per day, in association with diclofenac or in any other drug here. So various studies have been there which shows 18 rheumatoid arthritis, One study is from that curcumin has improvement in the functional outcome, but did not show an improvement in the CRP outcome. So the combination of curcumin with ibuprofen also shows synergistic effects, decreases ibuprofen activity and side effects, and improves function. And baseline is curcumin is as effective as NSAID but has better GI tolerability. The side effects from COX-1 inhibition are absent. And so it is now being promoted as a monotherapy rather than a combination therapy. And various studies, like 100 patients were treated for 8 months. From then, their WOMAC scores increased. Decrease in WOMAC scores was there. Functional improvement was there. And another thing is, up to 8,000 milligram of curcumin has been shown to be safe for the human population, which is a big dosage, and also in the long term. I don't think anybody would doubt that haldi powder will cause too much problems for any person. The combination therapy of combination along with celecoxib, with prednisolone or methotrexate. It also, here with methotrexate, it also prevents the hepatotoxic effect of methotrexate. Also in anti-cancer regimens, it is now being added as a therapy for decreasing the hepatotoxicity. Apart from the inflammatory action, it is being used here. And it is generally considered safe, but long-term studies are still required, and no noticeable adverse events are there, and curcumin is very well tolerated. So the thing we see that it is a hydrophilic polyphenol compound and poorly absorbed from GIG tract. For some reason, the black pepper contains piperine, which is said to enhance the absorption of curcumin, like the haldi, which we use in our daily food. So these things are still not explainable, but I think we have been using it for a long time. So they use SMEDS, self-microemulsifying drug delivery system, to bring this curcumin directly to our GI tract. And once it gets into the bloodstream and target tissues, it has an increased bioavailability and can exert its therapeutic effect. Without SMEDS, the curcumin absorption is very small and below the therapeutic threshold. And various studies are still there, bioenhanced curcumin. Curcumin is actually a combination of 3 curcumin polyphenols, 1, 2 and 3, which have different percentages going through. And also curcumin has been used as ways like Marvin in Italy, where it has shown good results. And inhibits the master switch inflammation in summary, decreased release of inflammatory prostaglandins, monotherapy is effective, and it's suitable option as well as monotherapy for most of the inflammatory conditions. So let us, this is one of the innovative options which can be used for long term. So, and it is intolerant, especially in those patients intolerant to NSAID, DMRD, renal function, hepatic dysfunction, cardiovascular disorders. Apart from that, we also need a holistic management of any kind of arthritis. We need physical therapy, pharmacotherapy, as well as surgical therapy for a holistic arthritic management. Once a joint has been damaged or a cartilage has been removed, it needs some kind of surgical management. Recently, we have stem cell therapy, which is being promoted nowadays for the cartilage repair. And even it has role in osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, avascular necrosis. This therapy is still under study and no conclusive results are still out, but shows a promising future. So apart from that, we have biological cartilage repair technology, which we can use as a marrow stimulation. We do microfractures as osteochondral autograft, where you can transfer our chondrocytes from a healthy area to a damaged area in a young individual who cannot have a knee or hip replacement. We have ACI, or the osteologous chondrocyte implantation. We have first cartilage damaged areas, especially in osteoarthritis, inflammatory arthritis. So microfracture is basically stimulation of the holes in the subchondral bone. It allows the mesenchymal stems to come through, but it forms fibrocartilage and not articular cartilage. Osteochondral autograft or Oates therapy is very common and very easy to do. Nothing much needs to be done. Cartilage grafts along with the bone needs to be taken out like a biopsy needle. You can take it out from a healthy area like the non-articular part of the knee or the intercondylar notch and just simply place it in the part of the body where the cartilage is deficient. And this provides a biological autograft which is very well incorporated in the human system. The only problem is with larger grafts, it doesn't give a matching, some kind of uneven finish for that, and it is limited to the smaller defects. Also, allograft can be used, but results have not been very great. Even xenograft has been tried for the same. Oates is very easy therapy and very promising therapy. And autologous chondrocyte implantation is a two-stage process. It is a very costly process at the moment, but companies are coming up and gradually the price will go down, in which we procure the cartilage from a biopsy, initially from a cartilage lesion or a arthroscopic biopsy, non-weight bearing area. Then you can grow it in vivo, get the cells in a syringe, and you take a periosteal patch from the tibia, sew it with 6-0 suture to just hold back the cartilage implantation, and you can implant the chondrocytes into that thing. The second generation uses scaffolds, already liquid gels, so you can directly culture cartilage cells into the scaffold and the periosteal patch. Third generation therapy uses growth factors, TNF alpha, etc., to promote cartilage switch to mesenchymal stem cells. The joint replacement has a role in end-stage arthritis. The indications and the patients requiring joint replacement is changing. We need active individuals who already gone joint replacement, doing all kind of activities. But for a right outcome, we need the right prosthesis, the patient at the right time, and the right technique. So in ankylosed hip, where the hip is totally ankylosed and the patient is unable to walk, you can give a motion by giving a joint replacement. And a patient of rheumatoid arthritis, a very common flexion deformity which is seen in all patients and can be easily treated with a timely joint replacement before it is too much damage. And in going in specific instrumentation, we can use CT plan and 3D printing blocks for technology for knee replacement and hip replacement. And with all these things, we can make a life pain-free. The need of the hour is a holistic approach where the pharmacotherapy, physical therapy, as well as surgical therapy is given to so that we can have a pain-free life. We should not see patients going around with painful conditions. And I hope, apart from that, new molecules like curcumin will give us a better armamentarium to treat these conditions. Thank you for attention.